think we're in. Hello everyone, and it is a Tuesday night, so we're back with APPF1 at Tier 2. Here for round number 3 of this 8-race championship here in Canada, Montreal, and it looks like Jack Alaco is on a lap as we join in just now. The Alpine driver and defending drivers champion coming to the end of his lap. He's 4 tenths, nearly 5 tenths up on his previous best through sector 2. He's got one more sector to go. And, the Wall of Champions chicane is the final corner that he has to navigate. What can he do as he heads down to it? Brake out of just about the 80 meter mark through the final chicane down to the line. What can Jacko do? It's going to be a 1:11.1. It's P7. Look how close these times are. We've joined the session a little bit late. I apologize for that. Nothing I could do about it, but look how close all of these times are, and it's Rafferrari as Scott spins in turn 5, turn 6, turn 7, turn 7, I think that is. But Rafferrari is the man on provisional pole. Look at this. The improvement rate of this driver is staggering at the moment, and he is looking to take his first ever pole position in APPF1. As he's only 5 thousandths ahead of the Season 6 champion Darth Nihilus at the moment. And Scott's right up there as well, only 2 hundredths off. Rick less than a tenth. B coming through as well. We know that he can put out some crazy times, having been absolutely nowhere in the session previously. But not this time. He's 2 tenths down in the first sector. And Tier is on a lap as well, and the Ferrari Rick goes to pole though, a 10.9 at 09, and Rafferrari, Darth, Scott and Finn Kitts now joining the party up to P5 in the Alfa Romeo for today. Krauser a long way back. Here comes Tier down towards the Wall of Champions chicane. There's a Haas ahead of him. I don't think, Tier's heading into the pits, so no improvement there. Who was that that improved? It was Luke Estro in the Ferrari up to P7. But look how close this is. He's 8 thousandths away from P5. And we've got less than half a second between the top 14 drivers. This is absolutely astoundingly close here in Canada at the moment. We're going to have aces through. Finn Kitts retires from the session. He's binned it. He's binned it in the final sector. So he will take or in the second sector rather, he'll take no further part in this one. As aces comes through down towards the end of the middle sector now. Through this tricky set of corners and down under the bridge through to the end of the sector. What's it going to be? It's nearly half a second up. Rafferrari destroys everyone. A 10.5 for the man who was struggling in the lowly bottom half of the table last season, and didn't really have the pace to ever challenge further than the midfield at best. Here he is, 4 tenths nearly clear in pole position. This is incredible stuff from Rafferrari out of absolutely nowhere. Aces is only half a second off him, but he's P8 and he's less than 2 tenths behind P2. This is absolutely incredible. Any tiny mistake is going to cost you so many positions today by the looks of it. RJ in the Red Bull coming through down towards the Wall of Champions chicane. He's 3 tenths up at the moment as he comes through down towards the line. Looked pretty good from the Red Bull driver from America, and it's a 10.7. It's P2 from RJ, but it's not enough to unseat this absolutely astonishing performance from Rafferrari at the moment. He has so much to prove. He finished a very, very strong career high P5 last week. He did take his teammate out, but because his teammate left the server in a rage, he didn't face any punishment for it. And that's what happens if you leave servers in a rage after one incident, everyone, by the way. Aces versus Kings as well, looking to improve, but he's coming into the pits. What about Robsu? Also into the pits. So we've got 3.5 minutes left in this session, and truly, truly anyone anyone can get pole position here. I mean, look at this. It's less than a second, less than 9/10 between the top 16. And from P3 downwards, it's less than half a second between P3 and 18th, and 16th. That is astonishing. What an incredibly tight quali session. I haven't seen anything like this since that Tier 1 qualifying session around Kota a few seasons ago. That was astounding as well. But look at this. APPF1 in P14, while only being 4/10 away from 4th. This is absolutely incredible. A big improvement, even a decent improvement on your lap is going to get you so many positions right now. It's so important to get a good lap in right now. AP, though, coming through. I think it's turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, he's invalidated through turn 8. He's going to have to go again. He doesn't have a lot of ERS to do it. Of course, his tyres are going to be more worn, but he can't come in the pits. There's not enough time. Sumo starting a lap. What about Tia in the Ferrari down towards the World Champion chicane? But I think, yeah, no, he's not on a lap either. So he's heading on for his final run now as well. Background, no, that was just someone coming through the chicane. It just looked like a spinner because of the angle. Alex, though, coming through turn 1, he's not improving either, so he's getting out of the way. LB not improving through sector 1. And as he comes into sector 2, DRS activated through turn 7 and 8. What can he do down towards the end of sector 2? LB, the two-time Tier 2 champion, he's half a 10th up, which at the moment would only gain him 1 position. But if he gains 1 more 10th, he's suddenly up to 6th, which is crazy to think about. Can he do it? There's a lot of time to gain through the World Champions chicane usually. So right on board with LB as he comes through. Rick just starting a lap as well. On the mini-map, we've got a Haas. Not quite sure which one. They're starting a lap just ahead. Here comes LB. Oh, he's into the wall. He's crashed out. It looks like a deliberate crash as well. So he could be in a bit of trouble there, LB. And by a bit, I mean a lot. Ferrari coming through sector 1 right now. Just starting his final run of the session. He's in an unprecedented position here for his APPF1 career. Pole position. Tia's binned it. No, he's retired in the pit lane. Robsu has definitely binned it out of turn 8. So nothing for Robsu here. He's P14. Ferrari, huge mistake there. So no improvement for him. Rick is nearly a 10th up in the middle sector, but he's going to need a lot more than that in the final sector. Darth Nihilus is 3.5 tenths up, but he's invalidated, so he's not going to challenge. What about Scott in the Haas? We've got to run on board with Rick here. RJ's starting a lap. Lucas Rowe to P2. Anyone can get pole here. It's absolutely wide open. What about Rick? What can he do? It's not pole position. It's half a 10th off, and he's on the front row, but it's only P2. And with so many people improving, who knows what's going to happen here? Darth, is he going to get 1 more run? Yes, but he's got no ERS to do it. Scott coming round as well in the Haas. Sumo, he's not improving, so he's out of it. Lawrence coming through into the final sector. He's 3 tenths up. That would get him to P4 as it stands. Can anyone snatch pole out of thin air here? Aces is invalidated. No improvement for him. What about the reigning champion, Jack Alacco? He's coming to the line. It's looking pretty decent, but it's not enough for pole. It's P5 for Jacko. He'll be happy with that reasonably. Scott coming through in his Haas. Who else is on a lap? Lucas Rowe, not improving. Rick, invalidated. RJ, I can't tell if he's improving. Someone improved. Lawrence to P5, just beating out his teammate there. And Alpine 5-6. What can RJ do? Down towards the final chicane. Here comes the Red Bull driver from the United States of America. It's looking pretty decent at the moment, but he's got to get this World Champions chicane right. It looks like he's done it pretty well. DRS open, but he's run out of ERS. How much is that going to cost him? It's not going to be enough. Yes, it is. RJ Blair snatches pole position from Ferrari. What about Darth? No improvement for him. Scott coming into the pits. No one else is on a lap, and RJ has stolen it right at the death. He crossed the line to start this lap with less than 10 seconds to go in the session. position, and he's taken pole, and Rafferrari's heart is broken after his by far best qualifying performance in APPF1. It's less than 7/10 between the top 14. This is going to be one heck of a race. I'm hearing in the paddock that RJ has a 5-place grid penalty. Oh, he does! 5-place grid penalty for RJ, and he's going to be down to P6 in the end. So it will be Rafferrari officially on pole position for this Grand Prix, but RJ, I don't think it was a legitimate penalty, unfortunately for him. Rick in P3, despite being only 85 thousandths behind pole. Lucas Rowe P4, Lawrence, Jacko, Darth, Scott, Sumo and Finn make up the top 10, with Aces, Alex, Enchilada, LB, Robsu, Tier, AP, Mania and Krauser make up the rest of the grid. It is, like you say in chat, less than a second between the entire grid. I think what's more impressive, less than 7/10 between the top 14. It's absolutely astonishingly close. I really hope Tier 1 and Elite are just like this as well. Wow. It is full wet conditions, though, by the looks of it, for the race. I don't know if it will dry up later, but wow, after a dramatic qualifying, it looks like we're going to have a dramatic race as well. Here we go. Full wet in the Canadian Grand Prix. One of the closest qualifyings I've ever seen in APPF1. This is going to be a true test for our drivers here. I really think anyone can win this race. Literally anyone. I don't think anyone on the grid is out of the question for a race win here. Going to go for the formation lap. It looks like full wet tyres. Is it full wet tyres? Yes, it is. Full wets for the whole grid. So we'll keep position changes on the screen, as well as everything else. But it's Rafferrari who's going to lead us off from pole position for the first time in his APPF1 career. He's not technically on pole. He should be P2. RJ got an unfair grid penalty, but I don't think Rafferrari is going to care. Rick has gotten this formation lap off to a great start. That really bodes well for the rest of his race. He spun on the warm-up lap. But he's done a 17-point turn to get that back underway. But yeah, he's not going to be feeling confident now after that. That's a big dent to your confidence to spin on the formation lap like that. Ignore Palang, he's an AI car, he shouldn't be here. But Krauser and Mania, 18th and 19th, by far probably their worst ever qualifying as teammates. 18th and 19th on merit. So we'll see how they can do in the race, but wow. Like I say, this race is wide open for anyone to win. So don't count anyone out, even Krauser here, starting P19. AP's been disqualified, as has Rick. They must have made contact, which is a shame. But here we go as we get the grid back underway. I cannot wait for this one. This is incredibly exciting prospect, this race. Canada tends to be incident prone. We've got 19 drivers on the grid and they're all very close in terms of pace. As a league admin, I am very worried, but as a commentator, I am so excited. So here we go. We're about to get underway for the Canadian Grand Prix in Tier 2. 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we're underway. It was a quick getaway from the lights, and Ferrari gets underway well. He leads the race into turn 1 as everyone piles through into the corner. Are there going to be any incidents? Surely. It's 3 wide going into turn 1, further back in the midfield. 3 wide through turn 2 as well. Someone's off the road. I think that's an AlphaTauri. There's a Red Bull round. That's RJ Blair all the way round into the wall. I think LB went round as well. There's more people going round. That's Rick around as well in the other Red Bull. It's an absolute disaster start for Red Bull. We've got yellow flags in sector 1, but no safety car as of yet. Ferrari leads, but he's gone very deep into turn 5, sorry. And now he's going to have Lucas Rowe for company, who looks to take the race lead here. These two had a great battle last season in Great Britain, but that was for P10. This is for P1, and so we've got more 5-second penalties going throughout the grid. RJ's out of the race. Rick is 10 seconds back from the rest of the pack. There's a VSC out. No idea what happened. But LB's got a penalty. Aces has got a penalty. And oh no, that's Sumo round under the VSC. He's going to have to get that back underway, but he's going to lose a ton of positions there. And there's going to be some trouble, I think, with people having to let him back through, most likely. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen here. Yeah, someone's going to be given a penalty. Yeah, LB's been given a penalty. He's going to have to serve that in the pit lane. I think AP got one as well, but we're back under green flags as Aces into the pits with damage. Ferrari leads this race by over a second now. He's gotten a brilliant restart out of the VSC. Where has this pace come from? I do not know, but it's fantastic to see. We've got Lawrence and Darth now battling. These two had some great battles in Season 6. And it's Darth who takes advantage and takes P3 in that Williams for now. Lawrence down to P4, Jacko in P5, but they are where they started. Enchiladadad up 6, Robsu up 7 positions. Another fantastic start for the Finnish driver. He's such a specialist at lap 1 performances. We've got Finkits, Darth up 4, AP up 5, Mania Krauser up 4 as well. We've got someone round, that's AP further back. I think Rick was round as well, perhaps someone else. It seemed there were yellow flags, but the Aston Martin swap places. Palang has joined, so he's going to get banned. I can't kick him because I'm not the owner of the lobby. But on lap 3 at the moment, Ferrari leading by 2.5 seconds. I do apologise, I had to sort something out. Robsu in P7, he's up another position. Finn Kitts ahead of Jack Alacco for P5 as well. So we head into Sector 2, but Ferrari is running away with this race. At the moment, P1, 2.7 seconds ahead of Lucas Rowe, who's 1.5 seconds ahead of Lawrence. They are killing it at the top, those top two at the moment. We've got Mania making up a position as well. Scott and Alex swapping places. What an overtake from Scott into turn 7 in the wet conditions. Surely must have been a mistake from Alex, but still, what a move. He's got yellow flags in sector 3. Lawrence is into the wall, perhaps. I'm not sure if he took damage. No, I don't think he's got damage. It just went wide, but he's lost a ton of positions as a result, and he's down to P8. That's Robsu up another one then as he continues his charge up the grid. Mistake from Ferrari, but Lucas wrote 3-second time penalty already for track limits. This is known as the track limits Grand Prix a lot of the time, so that will not be the last track limits penalty, I guarantee you. Tier, a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings as well, as they begin to start trickling in here. Got Robsu just behind Jackalacco at the moment as they head through sector 1. That's his next target. Palang retires in the pit lane. Thank you, Palang, for doing that. I appreciate that. If you're watching, Jackalacco coming through. He's just ahead of Robsu. But he's really struggling to keep the Finnish driver behind. As we head through sector 2 at the moment, there's but Ferrari extending his lead even further from Lucas Rose. There's another mistake from the Ferrari driver, but a mistake from Darth just behind as well. Scott's been putting the hours in for this race, says Lancer, as Enchilada Dad goes, well, I think he's gone into the USA with that corner there. He's gone way too deep. I don't know what he's doing. I think he might have just forgotten his braking point or something like that, but either way, he's down to P15, and his fantastic start has turned into a bit of a disaster. Krauser up to P11, up 8 places right now as Tier chases after Alex for P9 as well. But Finkits putting Darth under pressure, Robsu putting Jacko under pressure. Rick and RJ, the biggest losers of this Grand Prix so far. Enchilada into the pit, so he must have sustained damage at some point, I think. Or perhaps he's coming in for the inters. We'll put the tyres on the screen just in case. But no, it's another fresh set of wet tyres as Tier really putting the pressure on this Mercedes now as they head through. What a move from Tier around the outside of turn 5. How has he made that work? Through turn 6, Alex tries to get the better of him into turn 7. Can't quite do it. Scott, though. Scott's around. He's got no front wing just after Lancer says he's been putting the hours in. He has been cursed by Lancer. That was not my fault for once. But he's got no front wing. We do have a safety car, and Ferrari's lead is going to be quashed immediately. But wow, what a start this man has had, and what a qualifying session as well. I cannot believe he is where he is. This is quite astonishing. This is the man who spent a long period in last place in the APPF1 rankings, and I don't think he's last place anymore. I think he's second to last right now, but he's not showing that he's second to last right now. Scott gets a drive through as well for speeding under the safety car just to rub it in. So yeah, that is a full-blown curse there from Lancer. That is 100% Lancer's fault. I will never, ever be taking responsibility for that one. But it's Scott, Rick, Alex and Krauser all into the pits for fresh, wet tyres. So it doesn't look like this rain is going to be easing up anytime soon. Oh, Lucas Rowe, don't do that, mate. Oh, that's nearly a very costly error from the Ferrari under the safety car. He's done well to avoid an absolute calamity there, but he wasn't paying a lot of attention there, clearly, to the racetrack. That's lap 6 of 35. We do have our first safety car of the race. Interestingly, not due to a DNF. just due to Scott losing his front wing. He does have a drive-through now as well, so he's going to have to serve that once the safety car comes in. So it's not been a good day for Scott so far. But plenty of time left to go in this race, of course. There's surely going to be another safety car at Canada in these conditions, surely. But it is still Ferrari who leads from Lucas Rowe, and then it's Darth Finkits up in P4. Let's have a quick look again at position changes. So Finkits up 6, Robsu up 9, Tier and Mania both up 8, Krauser up 7, but he has pitted, so he's got better tyres than everyone else. And then Rick, of course, down 13 from P2 on the grid. And of course RJ from P6, what should have been P1, but he did get that penalty from the game. Look, the way I see it with grid penalties, it's similar to if you get an unfair 5-second penalty in the race. Like, the lobby's not going to get restarted for it. You just gotta get on with it, really. And I do really sympathise. I'd be very angry if I was him as well. But you know, these things happen. Sometimes the game screws you over, and that's just the way it is. I had a race in ESRL Sprints last week, completely, or 2 weeks ago, completely destroyed by getting an unfair 5-second penalty, which I then had to serve in the pit lane. So you know, LB's got one today, so this is just how it goes. But no, I do still sympathise with RJ though, as safety car looks like it's staying out for another lap. AP 40 seconds down on the rest of the pack, so I think he'll be hoping that the safety car waits for him, but he's a long way behind, and he's got no front right end plate either. This has not been a good day for AP Palfs so far. He's 40 seconds down on a safety car pack, and yet he's got no front right end plate on his car, so he's going to have to pit again for a new front wing, and I wouldn't be surprised if the safety car doesn't wait for him, to be honest. So it's a big shame for the league founder. He comes through surely into the pits. No, not into the pits. He's staying out. No front right end plate, but he's soldiering on. I mean, he must have the worry that the safety car is going to come in without him. But, you know, I understand, but also, well, there we go. His fears were proven correct, I suppose. As the safety car is going to be in this lap, unfortunately, for AP. But it's going to be Ferrari who leads us off. He sets the pace, and he can go for it whenever he likes. No one can overtake until the start-finish line. As here they go down towards the final Wall of Champions chicane. Palang, if you're still watching, it's okay. I just wish you would have communicated and told me what you were doing. Because, you know, I've had a bad day, so, you know, don't make it worse, is what I was thinking. But Ferrari coming through the final corner, and he has gone, and he's timed it perfectly. Scott's into the pits for his drive-through penalty as Lucas Rowe tries to get the better of Ferrari, but he can't quite do it into turns 1 and 2, so they will continue on as they were, but he's nearly round at the exit of turn 2, and Darth Nihilus is going to look to take advantage, going round the outside for turn 3. Can he make the move work? Yes, he can. What a move from Darth Nihilus up to P2, and now he chases after the Spanish driver in the McLaren of Ferrari. As Lucas Rowe tries to stay on board with the Mexican driver, but it's going to be tough. Darth of course, a former Tier 2 champion, but I do seem to remember he tends to struggle in the wet. So we'll see if that comes to fruition as Jacko and Robsu and Lawrence side by side there through turns 8 and 9. I don't know how they've managed to get through that with no incident. Mania hasn't managed to, because he is round on the exit of 8 as all they come through. Sumo's round as he tries to navigate the hairpin as cars overtake him. Are they going to get illegal overtakes under the yellow flag? I hope not, but Sumo back on track now, and he's going to get passed by 2 cars here. It's going to be 3 wide down towards the wall of champion chicane. Surely not. LB looking to the inside, but he backs out just in time as Sumo uses the afterburners there and stays ahead of Aces somehow through the wall of champions chicane. But Aces back at him on the exit, and round he goes. Good overtake from Aces. Sumo under pressure from LB as well. Is there going to be contact as they head into turn 1? No. Very nice racing as Sumo holds it round the outside. He's got crazy straight line speed on that Mercedes by the looks of things, but it's not enough to hold off Aces, and it's not enough to hold off LB either, who also goes through and now looks to the inside of Aces at turn 3 and 4. Surely not, and he makes it work somehow. Now he's got Krauser in his sights as well, the 2-time Tier 2 champion, on a lap or so. But plenty of work still to do. He's down in P12 with penalties to his name. Darth Nihilus, talking of penalties, gets himself a track limits penalty, and he's 3 seconds down on Ferrari, who is dominating this race now. Where has this come from? This is the man who's been in the midfield to bottom of the pack for the last season and a half, and here he is leading the race by 3 seconds on merit. This is astonishing improvement. Maybe he just loves this track, or maybe it's just genuine big improvement, because he was improved big time in China as well last week. So I mean, what more is he capable of? As Finn is the next to get himself a track limits penalty, has a bit of a slide out of the chicane as well, but just about holds on to it. He's under pressure from the 2 Alpines, the Constructors' Championship leaders and defending champions, Jacko and Lawrence. As they come through turn 2, they're so hesitant on the power. It's so difficult to get on the accelerator pedal out there in these conditions right now. We're only a third of the way through this race, and there's still, I'm sure, a lot of drama to come as Finn puts Lucas Rowe under pressure. Lucas a bit of a wobble as he heads into the braking zone of turn 6. But Finn can't take advantage, in fact loses the rear on exit, and Jack Alako's going to look to take advantage of that. He's going to go around the outside down towards turn 7 and backs out just before the corner, sensibly so, because Finn goes very deep trying to defend, and surely he's going to have to give that position up. He hasn't given it up. He's not going to give the place up, and Jacko's not going to be happy about that. That might be a report. He's going to go down the inside for the hairpin. A little bit of a wheel bang, but no harm done, and Jacko has made that move stick. I think a deserved move as well for Jacko there, after Finn cut the chicane. But look at this straight line speed from the Alfa Romeo as they go down towards the chicane. He's going to retake that place from Jacko, and Jacko's going to be under pressure from his teammate here. Lawrence down the inside. The 2 Alpines go side by side into the wall of champions as Jacko backs out. He's down to P6. Tier up to P7 as Robsu loses a couple of places. Big mistake from the Finnish driver, and he's down to P9 now. Is there damage? Doesn't look like it, as LB now side by side with Krauser for P11. A bit of contact between them and Alex just in front, but LB down the inside for turn 2, and he makes the place up to P11. He's got Alex in his sights next up to get into the top 10. But Krauser comes back at him into turn 3 out of absolutely nowhere. Somehow gets down the inside. It looks like he's going to make the move. They're side by side. Krauser's round though. There was contact between the 2, and Krauser's round and into the wall. Disaster for the Aston Martin driver. Does he have... He's got a time penalty for multiple warnings now as well, just to add insult to injury. I don't know if there's damage to that Aston Martin. Nothing visible. Oh no, yeah, no, he's missing his front left end plate, I think. We'll see as he comes around this corner. Yeah, no front left end plate on that car. So another pit stop for Krauser. It's going to have to be. Ferrari leads by over 5 seconds now, as Darth is not capable of chasing him down at this stage. Lucas Rowe losing touch with Darth, but he's gained a bit of time to Finn in the meantime. We've got yellow flags in Sector 3. That's another safety car. Aces is round at the hairpin, or on the exit of the hairpin. Or no, the entry to the hairpin. No, it is the other way around. I was confused because he was facing the wrong way. But a lot of drivers now into the pits for fresh, wet tyres. Aces is going to be one of them because he's going to need a new front wing. But that brings everyone back into it, including this man, APPF1. He'll be able to get a new front wing on that car and some fresh tyres as well, which he'll be very glad for. Mania's going to be back in this race as well. Ferrari's lead is going to be cut back down once again, but given his pace so far in this race, I wouldn't be surprised if he builds that gap right back up again in no time. So who's coming to the pits? Let's see. Tyres. So we've got everyone from P6 downwards except for Scott and Mania onto fresh wet tyres. But Ferrari, Lucas Rowe, Rick, Alex and LB all staying out. I think in fact Ferrari, Lucas Rowe, Rick and Alex had already gone past the pit lane. Actually not Rick because Finn came in and he was P3 before. So Rick and Alex and LB all deciding to stay out. But I think Ferrari and Lucas had no choice. I think they'd already gone past the pit lane when the safety car came out. So it's not ideal for them. And suddenly, Ferrari, who has been dominating this race up until this point, may not take the win home. After all, he's in a vulnerable position here. Everyone else behind him has pitted. He hasn't been able to. He's going to have to pit at some point, surely, to get some fresh wets on. And wow, that's incredibly unlucky for both him and Lucas Rowe here. Darth Nihilus, LB, oh, he's coming to the pits, that's why, for fresh wet tyres. So he's going to drop all the way down. He's going to take that penalty as well. That's smart thinking from the two-time champ. Fresh tyres. And out he goes. It looks like it's going to be P16 on the road when he exits the pits, unless he can get past Mania. There goes Mania. But of course, the pit exit is a better line than the actual track. And yeah, it's P15 for LB in the end. But, well, he's all his good work in that last stint has all been undone once again. So he's going to have to do it all over again. But yeah, this is huge for the likes of Ferrari and Lucas. They're the only two cars who haven't stopped so far in this race. They've got Rick and Alex just behind them on 5-lap fresher tyres. But more worryingly for them, Darth and everyone else on completely fresh tyres. And it's going to be really difficult for the top two to sustain this advantage that they've got. They've been so unfortunate with the timing of that safety car here. So we'll have to see how they deal with it. And the safety car is going to be in this lap, so they're not going to get another opportunity to come in, but I think they'd be foolish to come in anyway. But everyone has caught up now, including AP, who's back in the race, as well as Mania as well. And let's see how this is going to go. Ferrari leads us off down towards the chicane. He went just on the chicane exit at the last safety car. Will he do the same again? Let's find out. Yes, he will. And he's caught. He hasn't quite caught Lucas Rowe off guard this time. He knew what was coming. And in fact, the Ferrari is going to come back at the McLaren into turn one, but not quite enough to make any sort of move. And he's going to have to stick behind as Rick now putting them under pressure in the Red Bull as they come through turn two. Darth Nihilus getting a move done on Alex in the meantime on those fresh tyres. Alex is going to be in free fall here on 7 laps older tyres than everyone else. As they come around, it's difficult to see through the spray at certain corners with the camera angle, but Finn under pressure from Lawrence. He can't think too much about getting past Alex because he's got to look behind him as well as the Alpine driver tries to make a move but can't quite do it. Maybe he can on the exit. Finn has a little bit of an oversteering moment, but not so, as now Rick putting Lucas under all sorts of pressure through turn 7. Not quite getting the move done, but surely it's in the making here. There's Darth Nihilus lurking in the background, as well as that's Enchilada Dad round at the exit of turn 7. Disaster for him after he went very deep at the hairpin a few laps ago. Finn, Kits and Tyr side by side in the meantime. Finn making that move stick. He's up to P8. There's now Rick putting that Ferrari under pressure, but he can't quite make a move down into the chicane. He doesn't have enough speed, but Darth may do. But he backs out just before. Very sensible from the Mexican driver as they head through down towards turn 1. Alex G now with a track limits penalty. There'll be plenty more of those. Finn Kits into the pits, must have sustained damage somewhere, so not an ideal turn of events for him. Jack Alaco and Tyr making moves further down as well. We've got yellow flags. I don't know who that's for. Finn Kits comes into the pits, but I don't think it was for him. Sumo gets a 3-second time penalty, so the next here come all the track limits warnings. It's about that time, as Rick still putting Lucas under huge pressure, but he just can't find a way past on this circuit in these conditions right now. It's so difficult to make any sort of cohesive move, but he's done it here on the exit of turn 6. It looks like it's the move done for Rick, and it might be the move done for Darth as well. Exit of turn 7, sorry, and Lucas Rowe loses both those positions on those horribly worn tyres compared to everyone else. Loses another one to Lawrence, another one to Robsu, and oh, what a shame, so unlucky with the timing of that safety car, but what can you do sometimes? Sometimes your luck is just out, and it has been for Ferrari and Lucas so far today, because Ferrari now getting caught at a rate of knots by Rick and everyone else behind on those much better tyres. He's going to have to come into the pits at some point as well, so we'll see when he decides to do it. Jack Alaco and Tyr and Lucas Rowe go wheel to wheel. Lucas into the pits. He's decided enough is enough. He's got to get those fresh tyres on, but wow, so unlucky to not be able to pit under the safety car. Here comes Tyr down the inside of the defending champion into turn 1. There's contact and Jacko is round. Tyr loses positions as well, but they've made contact. I don't think it's for the first time in Tier 2 in the last couple seasons that these two have come together, or maybe I'm thinking of that time Tyr and Lawrence came together. Sumo and Scott side by side through turn 3. There's action up and down the grid. Ferrari's getting caught. Scott has hit the wall. AP's got a penalty for ignoring yellow flag. That's unfortunate for him, as surely it was not a reasonable penalty, but Mania catching up in the meantime. But we've got to cut to the front. Robsu putting Lawrence under pressure. Rick right behind Ferrari, who's on 16-lap-old wet tyres. Rick only 11 laps old. Here he goes around the outside. Ferrari cuts him off as they head into the braking zone, but he's gone very deep. Can Darth take advantage? Yes, he can. Darth down the inside, and he's gotten both of them at the hairpin. What a move from the Season 6 champion. He's into the lead of this race. Surely Ferrari's going to have to come in. He's going to be a sitting duck for everyone behind. Robsu getting passed by Lawrence in the meantime for P4, but Lawrence brakes very early, and Robsu with a front wing damage as a result. He's going to be absolutely devastated by that. Ferrari hasn't pitted, but he's lost the positions anyway. He's down to P4. Surely he's going to have to come in soon. Maybe there's damage to that McLaren. I think maybe there was a chain reaction up ahead. No damage. He's just really struggling on those tyres. As he heads through turn 2, he's lost another place to Robsu now, even with no front left end plate on that AlphaTauri. He's going to have to drive very carefully now. Ferrari with a 3-second time penalty. I feel so much for him. He's been dominating this race. He hasn't even bottled it. He's just been so unlucky. But them's the breaks. That's how it goes sometimes. Rick now trying to put Lawrence under pressure, but surely not going to have anything on him with those awful 12-lap-old tyres that he's got on. But down towards the hairpin they go. Rick piling the pressure on regardless, and he sends it down the inside, perhaps unintentionally, as Lawrence goes deep. Rick makes the move. He's back up to P2. Darth leads by nearly 2 seconds as a result of this battling, but Lawrence gets him on the exit. So much better tyres. And phase 2 of the corner exit, Lawrence is straight through. And Rick now under pressure from Robsu down into the chicane. What can he do? Nothing as of yet so far. But oh my goodness me, who can call this race at this point, really? This is incredible stuff. But, they're heading through Sector 1 right now. Rick really on the gearbox of Lawrence down through Turn 2. As they head through Sector 1. Nothing he can do, and Darth 2.2 seconds ahead. Krauser the next to get past Ferrari, but there's contact between the two and they're both into the wall. Disaster for the both of them. Ferrari resets the track. That's going to be a penalty for him, and oh, it's been an absolutely horrible turn of events for Ferrari here. He's been so unlucky in this Grand Prix. With that safety car timing, but that reset to track is going to be a big penalty for the McLaren driver. That is such a shame for him. Krauser as well, losing a ton of positions due to that incident. I've no idea what exactly happened, but whatever it was, it's cost both of them their races here. Rick now under pressure from Robsu for the last podium position. Here comes, and he's going to make that move stick as Rick still has to stay out on those 13 lap old tyres. He's probably desperately hoping for a safety car, but no such safety car has come his way so far. Right now Robsu is in a net P2. He's got no penalties to his name, neither does Rick actually. He's done very well considering no line, but Robsu now putting Lawrence under pressure for P2 on track. As Lucas Rowe making moves. He may have come into the pits, he may have lost all those positions, but he's still well in the hunt here. He's up to P12 already, and surely is only going to keep going up. Does Robsu still have damage? He still must have damage from that contact earlier on, so he's doing a stellar job in that AlphaTauri, but Darth Nihilus is running away with this one now. He's been set free by all these drivers battling. Lucas Rowe getting past his teammate for P11 now in the Ferrari. And wow, will this race ever stop having drama? This is absolutely incredible stuff. Lucas Rowe, though, with a time penalty. That's up to 6 seconds for him, I believe. Robsu up to P2 on the exit of the hairpin, getting back past Lawrence, but Lawrence is going to have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Surely isn't going to send it. He's too far back, and yeah, Lawrence staying behind the Finnish driver as they head into that final chicane. And LB out of nowhere coming up to P4, and right behind the likes of Lawrence now, the two arch rivals from a couple seasons ago. Here comes Rick down the inside, though he hasn't given up on this P4 position. But he's going to have to stick behind for now, and surely those tyres are going to give up on him in the next couple of laps. He's going to drop way back, you would think. Aces isn't far behind either. He's on a net podium right now, or not quite a net podium, but a net P4, thanks to the penalties ahead. Let's get penalties on the screen, shall we? So it's 3 seconds to Darth, Lawrence and LB, as well as Sumo, Enchilada Dad, Ferrari, Alex, Finn and Krauser. It's 8 seconds to AP as Aces into the wall. Is out. Aces has binned it. He's out of the race. We've got a VSC. Aces is going to be absolutely devastated. His championship hopes have surely gone up in smoke with that crash. He's got no one else to blame for that one but himself. I'm sorry, Aces, I was riding on board with you at the time. I have to take responsibility for that one as the commentator's curse. But he's out of this race, and well, with only an 8-race championship, that's a huge dent to his title hopes for this season. The VSC is going to be a very welcome sight for Darth Nihilus, though, because he's going to be able to get away with that lead, but he's coming to the pits, in fact, for fresh tyres. He thinks fresh tyres are better than staying out here. Robsu agrees, but he's going to replace his front wing as well. It looks like everyone else is agreeing. They're not looking to go to the end on these tyres. Rick, it's a perfect timing for him as well. Sumo in, Scott in, Jacko in. Yeah, everyone's coming in for fresh tyres. Oh, Lucas Rowe. Oh, Lucas Rowe. Oh, Lucas Rowe. Oh, oh, okay. It was just a bug. I thought he decided way too late not to come into the pits, but it was just a really weird glitch by the looks of it. Enchilada Dad's been given a drive-through for speeding under the safety car as well. That's the second one of the day. He's retired from the session. RJ's in the chat. All he can do is laugh. He was rightly angry about retiring from the race earlier in this race, but all he can do now is just laugh at the chaos that's unfolding in front of his eyes. We have a full safety car now, so Dart's lead has been obliterated. God, who can call this? Rick's going to be in a net race lead. Robsu's P2. Ace is out of the race. Scott's going to be in a net P4 here, thanks to all the penalties. The LB's down to P8. Rafferrari P9. Did anyone not pit? Yes, Scott, LB and Rafferrari, but they had every right to. Their tyres aren't that worn. And we're going to have a 13 lap shootout or so at the end of this race. If we don't have another safety car, it's the third one of the day. But, you know, it's full wet conditions around Canada. What can you expect, guys? Come on. We're going to have some crazy, a crazy dramatic race whenever that happens. But I mean, this is just absolute calamity. It really is. But anyways. Rafferrari, he does have a 15-second penalty for resetting to track, surely looming over his head. As I'm sure Krause is going to report it. But I mean, this does bring Krause back into the race, I suppose. It brings Finn back in as well. AP Jack Halako's found himself down in 11th. I don't quite know how that's happened, because he was up at the top not long ago. I seem to remember. Oh yeah, there was contact with Tier. That's why at turn 1. So that's why he's dropped so many. And I mean, this championship at this point is literally anybody's. Like, usually by this point in the season, it's round 3. You've got a few. You're gonna narrow down the contenders for the championship. But I mean, with how this race could end, who knows? Lawrence in the driving seat. He's up there in P4 right now. He does have that time penalty, but even if he finishes in the top 5 here, with all his other championship rivals pretty much having terrible rounds, I suppose LB isn't that far back, but Lawrence really in the driving seat to somehow increase his championship lead today, despite all of this. Sumo's in the top 5. I'm not going to mention him too much. I don't want to curse him as well, having already cursed aces in this race. But I take no responsibility for Scott crashing. But I mean, we've got 12 laps left to go in this Grand Prix. Surely the safety car will be in at the end of this lap now, because Krause is going to be able to catch up. He's currently 14 seconds behind. Does he come in for fresh tyres? No, he doesn't bother. He's probably worried about the safety car coming in without him, like it did to AP a little while ago. But honestly, the race win is anybody's guess at the moment. The podium even more so. I think me and Sumo and Lawrence were doing our predictions in the podcast on Sunday when we filmed it, and I mean, how can you predict a race like this? I mean, come on. It's just ridiculous. Krause has now just about caught back up to the pack, so the safety car should be in this lap, and we're going to get 11 laps of racing under these conditions. LB and Rafferrari somehow swapping places there. Swapping back, thankfully, but come on, guys, let's be careful here. But safety car is in this lap now, as we thought it would be. Darth is going to lead the pack now. after Ferrari led for the first 2 safety cars that we had in this race. And it's going to be Rick chasing after him from Robsu. A quick look at tyres. Everyone in the top 6 on equal footing in terms of tyres. Lucas Rose back in this as well. He does have 6 seconds of penalties, which is a huge shame because he'd have a real opportunity for a podium here. It would be his first in APPF1 if he managed it, but it's going to be an uphill struggle with that many penalties. But his pace has been outrageous today so far. Darth Nihilus comes around the wall of champion chicane and leads the way, but Rick has stayed right with him. Is he going to be able to make a move into turn 1, I wonder? He's using the ERS, he's got the slipstream, he looks to the outside, he brakes late, he's got the outside line, but Darth cuts him off on the exit, shuts the door, and Rick, no move being made there, and he's under pressure from Robsu now for that second place. Lawrence just behind them as well. It looks like as you were for the drivers at the moment on the safety car restart, but we've still got 10.5 laps left to go of chaos in this tier 2 race. Rick right behind Darth for P1, Robsu right there as well. Who can call a winner? Darth's got 3 seconds of penalties, but these two could get a penalty at any moment. You have to think Sumo. No, Sumo's binned it. Sumo is out of the race. Exit turn 7. I don't know if he's binned it or if there was contact, but he's out of this one. He is not going to be happy on his stream at all. But Darth Nihilus under pressure. We cut back to the front because Rick looking for a move on Darth at the hairpin. He can't quite make it work. Lawrence trying to find a way through Robsu as well. Lucas Rose dropped back from the top 4. As Scott tries to keep up, he's got no penalties, so he's in a very good position here in that Haas. He hasn't finished a race so far this season, so he'll be hoping this is the one where he can finally get some points on the board. But Rick putting Darth under all sorts of pressure. They're side by side, heading into turn 1. Darth's going to have the outside line, surely going to shut the door on Rick at turn 2, and does. No, Rick fends around the outside, and there's contact, and Darth is round, and Rick now leads this race, but Darth is going to drop all the way down to P12 here as he rejoins the track. He is going to be fuming in that cockpit. Rick's out. Rick spinned it. I can't believe what I'm seeing. I cannot call this race. How can I call this race? Rick has binned it just after taking Darth out. Darth is going to have the most glorious case of Schadenfreude there. After just having a collision with Rick at turn 2, he's just seen a couple of corners later the corpse of the Red Bull on the exit of turn 4. That promotes Lawrence into P2, Robsu into the lead of the race now. Scott's now onto the podium in terms of net position. Lucas Rose on the podium on track, but he has 6 seconds of penalties. LB's got 6 seconds of penalties now as well. Ferrari's chasing them down, the man who's been who was dominating the first half of this race, so don't count him out yet, but he surely does have a reset to track penalty looming over his head, unless it was just a bug. But Mania just behind as well. He qualified this race in P19, and here he is, P18. Here he is in 7th and keeping up with the top 6 as it stands. Another penalty. I don't even know who it was for at this point. Jackalacco right behind as well. He's got no penalties. Robsu, Scott, Mania and Jacko, the only ones with no track limits penalties at the moment. So that's what it could come down to. A lot of positions are going to come down to penalties here. Leads by 0.8 of a second from Lawrence, who's trying to chase him down, but Robsu got a much better line through those couple corners, and you can see by the couple tenths he gained on the Alpine. But Lawrence looking for a huge championship lead extension here if he can hold on in the last 8.5 laps of this race. But Lucas Rowe right behind as well, but those 6 seconds are going to cost him in the end, you have to think. Same with LB running in P5 at the moment, but he would only drop to P8 as it stands, and with Ferrari losing touch with him, he might not even drop to P8 at this rate if he can pull 3 seconds to the McLaren. But yeah, then you got Tier with 9 seconds further back, so he's going to be So he's not going to be in contention for the top 8 as it stands. Robsu sets the fastest lap in the lead of this race, so he's looking for an extra point as well. It would be maximum points from this race for the Finnish driver. It's been a while since we've seen him win a race. He won in, I think it was Brazil last season, so actually no, it hasn't been that much for a while. Lawrence though gets another time penalty. That's 6 seconds to the Alpine driver. And so now he is going to drop all the way down, possibly to P4 at this rate, because Ferrari's not that far behind at the moment. But Scott is in the prime position for a podium here after binning it earlier on in this race. We've got caution in Sector 2, yellow flags, that's AP round at turn 6 by the look of it, as Krauser gets his way past up to P13, but that's AP all the way down to last place. We've had 6 DNFs, well, 5 really DNFs, because Palang wasn't really in this race, but still 14 drivers left in it, and anyone can win this. I truly believe that. But at the moment, Robsu looking very, very likely as he continues to keep Lawrence behind. AP's round again. I think the only thing that can disrupt this race now is another safety car, but I wouldn't bet against it. AP trying to get his car back facing the right way again, but clearly really struggling at the moment. Probably his tyres are too overheated at this point. We've got LB and Scott side by side. LB looks like he's gone for a dive bomb on Scott into turn 1. Scott is going to be fuming about that, as it could lose him the podium, because he's got a 3-second penalty now as well. Thanks to that, he should be able to get that removed, but it will mean he won't get an interview if he doesn't finish on the podium on track, and that's what really matters, of course. Jack Halako making a move on Mania in the meantime. He's up to P7. So now Robsu, Jacko and Mania, the only drivers on the grid without a penalty at this stage. LB is up to P4. But at what cost, as he tries to chase after the top 3. But as it stands, Lucas Rowe might get a podium after all. AP's retired in the pit lane, so there's not going to be a safety car for that. That's our 6th DNF of the Grand Prix. But Mania now under pressure from Tier, who sent it into the hairpin. How on earth has he gotten that car stopped? He came from nowhere. He's up to P8. Somehow he's got 9 seconds of penalty, so he's going to drop down anyway. But what a move out of nowhere from the Ferrari driver. I'll read the chat after the race, guys. I can't keep up with everything at the moment. But it's Robsu who still leads this race with no track limits penalties to his name. Lawrence in P2, Lucas are in P3, LB P4 with 6 seconds. Then Scott with only 3, allegedly could be 0 if he can get that one removed. Ferrari just behind on 3 seconds as well. And don't forget about this man, Jack Halako is not far behind. Only 1.5 seconds off the pack, and he could get himself a podium at this rate as well. It could well be a double Alpine podium at this rate. Who knows how this race is going to end? There's still 5.5 laps left for some drama to occur. Mania's trying to put the pressure back on Tier after that audacious send from the Ferrari into the hairpin. But no such luck at the moment, and it's another penalty for Tier as he cuts across turn 7. 12 seconds now for the Ferrari driver as he somehow manages to keep that car facing in the right direction. He went left, right, left, right, left, and somehow kept it pointing straight in the end. But another little bit of a hiccup outside of the hairpin. Let's have a look at tyres. Yeah, they're getting to the 10-lap old mark now, so they're going to start getting a little bit difficult to drive on. There's still 5 laps left to go, so there still could be more mistakes to be had, and there's one from Tier again, and there's another one from Tier on the exit. Ferrari now with 6 seconds of penalties, so that's him out of the race for the podium as it stands, unless we get some late drama here. Scott is still well in the race for the podium, though. He's only got 3 seconds of penalties. It's dubious whether those are even whether that's even a penalty that he should have. But Chakalako, look at this. Everyone except Scott in front of him and Robsu has a 6-second penalty. and Jackalacco could be in the mix for a podium as Mania gets back past Tier here up to P8. I think another big mistake for Tier. He is really struggling now in these conditions on these tyres as Darth tries to catch up. Finn Kitts in P11, Alex in P12, Krauser in P13. They're all way back from the rest of the pack as Robsu heads into the hairpin for the 31st time and still leads this Grand Prix, but now by 1.7 seconds as Lawrence makes a mistake compared to the AlphaTauri driver. Robsu absolutely flying right now. Lucas Rowe right behind Lawrence as well. I have no idea. I have no idea on the timings. I don't know who's in contention for a podium here. I know Scott and Jacko definitely are. Lawrence and Lucas Rowe, of course, they're in there on track. But who's going to get it after all is said and done, I do not know. Mania's also in the mix. He's only 3.5 seconds back from Ferrari as it stands. So he's certainly in the mix for top 5. I don't know about a podium as Tier gets passed by Darth now, as Finn also gets himself another track limits penalty for good measure, sitting down there in P11. But Robsu leads still by 1.5 seconds. We've got 3.5 laps left to go in this absolute chaotic, shambolic race. I mean, there's been some good racing, but goodness me, it's been chaos from start to finish. Alex G looks like he had a spin coming out of turn 2, but he's all right now by the looks of it. Should at least be able to finish this race. I think anyone who's in it now will get classified, even if they crash from this point onwards. But Lawrence under pressure from Lucas Rowe and LB nearly into the back of the Ferrari as they head into the hairpin. Scott trying to get the jump on the AlphaTauri as a result, but he can't quite do it. And Jackalacco is within range of this podium now. Mania, I think, is too far back for it, but Scott is in a net P3 as it stands, as here he goes down the inside of LB for the chicane. It's a huge risk that he's taken there. LB's gone very wide. And got another penalty as a result. Scott under pressure from Ferrari as a result of that move, but he's gotten back back onto the track and kept the McLaren behind crucially as they go through turn 2. Ferrari struggling to get on the power, but he can't quite make the move on Scott as Scott now dropping back from the drivers ahead of him, but he surely will be able to get back on terms again unless he has a mistake like that again. 3 laps to go. Jackalacco just behind Ferrari down the inside of the Haas. I don't think that was an intentional move, but it's a move he's made nonetheless. Through turns 6 and 7. Can Scott keep him behind? Yes, but he's lost time, and here comes Jackalacco down the inside, down towards turn 7. Surely can he make this move up to P5 on track? Yes, he can. No, he can't. There's a bit of contact as they go through, and Jacko loses the place again to Ferrari. Scott now 2 seconds behind LB. And he's going to need to get a shift on and hope that Ferrari doesn't make another move like that and cost him more time, because Scott has real potential for a podium here, but not if that sort of thing happens to him again. Jackalacco desperate for a podium place here. He's certainly in the mix. I've no idea on the timings. Robsu's now got a nearly 4-second lead. He's surely going to win this race, but Jackalacco backs out before the Wall of Champions chicane before making a move on Ferrari. Maybe is in the mix now as well. He's not in the mix for a podium, but certainly top 5 is on the cards for the Aston Martin driver who qualified in 18th, need I remind you. Jackalacco just behind Ferrari, who's lost track of Scott. Lucas Rowe and LB side by side into turn 3. Lucas Rowe trying to hold it. He goes across the grass. He can't keep his car on the track. And LB up to P3 now in his AlphaTauri as Scott chases them back down, and he's back just behind them again and looking for that podium that he's going to feel he deserves from this race. Robsu leads by a huge margin. Lawrence building a little bit of a gap to the cars behind as a result of that little battle between LB and Lucas, but there's still 1 lap left to go, and who knows what could happen within that 1 lap. Jackalacco Still just behind Ferrari, keeping on terms, and Mania's there as well. Darton Hillis 4 seconds back. Scott under pressure, putting Lucas Rowe under pressure, and he's gotten the move done by the looks of it on the Ferrari. What a hairpin for Scott. Can Lucas keep on level terms with the Haas? No, he can't. There's lag. There's big lag for Lucas Rowe, and that's going to cause so many issues for Scott. He's going to have to back out of that one because he can't see where he's going. Lucas gets another penalty as a result. He goes off the track and finally loses the place to Scott, but hopefully lag doesn't put him back in front again. But that was really laggy there for Lucas. We're on to the final lap of this crazy Canadian Grand Prix. Lucas into P4 on track. It's P2 sorry, P3 I think on paper, due to the penalties ahead and the lack of penalties behind for Jacko and perhaps Mania, as well as Ferrari taps Lucas going through turn 4. Jackalacco right behind them, but he can't quite take advantage. Lucas really struggling on these final couple of laps. Here comes Jacko. He's going to look to the inside. Mania's right behind as well, looking for a move. Jacko, Lucas backs out and lets them both through. LB getting past Lawrence for P2. In the meantime, I think Lawrence let him through, but Lawrence might not know that LB's 9 seconds of penalties probably isn't legit. As they head down into the last few corners of this insane Grand Prix. Robsu coming down to the final corner. Pretty sure Scott's pen will be removed, says Sumo. Yeah, me too, Sumo, but I don't know if he picked up any other warnings since then. But it's Robsu who comes down into the last corner. Robsu, what a drive from the Finn. He wins the Canadian Grand Prix. LB coming round the final corner. Who's going to be on the podium? God knows. They come across the line. Let's see how the penalties shake out. Scott P2 for now. What about Jacko? Where's he going to finish? It's P2 for Jacko. It's P4 for Mania in the end. 2/10 down on Scott. But it's Scott on the podium. Jacko on the podium somehow. Lawrence P5. LB P7 in the end. But 3 seconds might get removed. Ferrari P6. But he's got surely 15 seconds of penalties hanging over his head. Darton Hillis in P8. Lucas Rowe P9. Oh my goodness me, what a race, what a drive from this man Robsu. There is no question of who driver of the day is, and it's this man right here. Just look at the position changes. 14 places up for Robsu. Mania as well, what a drive from him too, but I think Robsu taking the race win has got to be driver of the day. Sumo's gutted, and I'm not surprised. He deserved a lot better from this one. But wow, I mean, goodness to say. I'm glad, I don't know if RJ's still here, but I'm glad he could get some enjoyment out of watching everyone else's struggles after he was rightfully annoyed about what happened to him to start this race. But just seeing him say Lamau in the chat was great. But wow, it's Robsu who takes the win. The game gives LB driver of the day. Absolutely not a chance. Robsu's driver of the day by far for me. Mania, maybe not by far because Mania's close behind, but Robsu definitely takes that particular accolade, as well as the 21 points for winning the race with fastest lap. I don't think anyone beat his fastest lap. So Robsu, before this race, he was on 14 points. He was 19 behind Lawrence. But after this race, he's going to be in contention for this championship. So it's Robsu who takes a spectacular win with the fastest lap in the Canadian Grand Prix. Jack Alacco finishes P2. Lucas Rowe is gutted in the chat, and I don't blame him. Scott finishes P3 in the end. It could be P2 after he gets his penalty removed if he can. Mania finishes P4. No penalties, a huge asset around this circuit. Lawrence in the top 5 in the end with Rafferrari in P6. LB down in P7, but it could have a penalty removed perhaps. Darth Nihilus in P8 with Lucas Rowe down in P9. I'm gutted for him. He deserved so much more from this one. Tier in P10. Alex and Krauser and Finkits make up the rest of the grid with AP, Rick, Sumo, Enchilada Dad, Aces and RJ not finishing this one. Ooh, breathe. We can breathe. Alright, let's join the party and get the top 3 in an interview, shall we? Jacko is in the party. We're just waiting for Scott and our race winner Robsu, who has just joined, so it's just Scott to go. Once Scott comes in, we will start the interviews. It looks like Scott has joined in now, so we will get started with our race winner Robsu. Well, qualifying P15, you must have been a little perhaps pessimistic about your chances of a decent result today, but I don't think in your wildest dreams you would have thought you'd come away with a win today.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of nailed it. I mean, Guali was a disaster, and yeah, I
mean. That's pretty much sums up the race. Just laughing, to be honest. I mean, when that last safety car came out, you were sitting P4, I think, but maybe P5, and then it seemed like the Red Sea just parted in front of you as everyone just seemed to bin it one by one. I mean, talk us through that final stint.
Well, chaotic. I mean, I don't even know what to say, because it was kind of strange to, like you said, there was drivers just spinning it all over, and I don't know what happened with Rick, because he just went straight to barrier, and I don't know what happened to him, and I was kind of baffled about it, but well, yeah, after that it was just I tried to keep it between lines also and try not to bin it, and well, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I'm still kind of baffled about it.
Well, I mean, I don't really know what to say either, Robsu. So, well, fastest lap and a race win, so maximum points for you today. Looking forward to the rest of the championship, because we haven't had a chance to speak to you yet this season. How are you feeling about the remaining tracks? Because I think with this race win, you've propelled yourself into championship contention. I think you're sort of a dark horse in Tier 2 at the moment. You can just pull out a result like this seemingly at random. So just talk us through the rest of the season from your perspective. How are you feeling about it?
Well, I'm not just looking at the calendar, and I'm looking forward to Texas and maybe Netherlands, but those other three, France, Monaco, Italy, I'm not sure about them, but well, yeah, we'll see. I'm just trying to keep it steady, trying to be consistent and trying to minimize those penalties, which I did today, and I'm I'm actually very proud of myself about that, because I thought that there's gonna be like 6 or 9 penalties at least to me.
Well, congratulations. I mean, as always at Canada, it's the ones with the fewer penalties that stand the biggest to gain. And you did that today, but also a stunning drive. So congratulations, Robsu, and enjoy.
Oh, thank you, mate.
So we move on to our P2 finisher. Somehow, Jack Alacco. Well, welcome back to the podium. I mean, you probably wouldn't have expected that, being in P11 at the safety car restart at the end there. But despite all that, again, lack of penalties, and you're here on the podium. So, I mean, talk us through it.
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Didn't get penalties, and I got P2.
I mean, sometimes that's all you need to say, really.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's a crazy race. I don't know.
Yeah, there's so much.
I could
to
talk
say.
about it, but I'd be here all day.
Yeah. I mean, well, how many warnings were you on?
2.
2 warnings. Okay.
And they both came in between that last safety car restart and the last race, last lap. So
Oh, okay.
I did yeah.
Well, I mean,
So,
a fantastic job to keep it between the lines. And you know, you're back on the podium. You're back in the championship contention as well. So I mean, it's after a chaotic race like this one. I mean, you can't really get much chaos than this, and yet still here you are on the podium. So it's it must have increased your confidence a little bit heading into the next few races.
Yeah, definitely. When I saw the wet, there's going to be a full wet race, I thought, oh, that's me done now. But I just kept it steady. Didn't want to take any risks. And yeah, but Cota's Cota next week, so I'm not looking. I don't think I could win this race by 20 seconds and still not be confident for Cota.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you can get a good result in a race like that, who knows what can happen even at Cota. But congratulations on the podium, and well, good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
And we come to Scott. It's not the first time we've talked to you in a tier 2 podium room, but it's been a little while.
Second.
Yeah, it has been a little while. So I mean, yet again, lack of penalties saves the day. I just wanted to ask you first question: did you get any other warnings after LB pushed you off the track?
I had no warnings all the way through that race.
Oh, okay. So that's
shoot! I didn't even do my race director, so I'm not even sure if I can get it removed.
If it was a corner cutting penalty, you might be able to, but it's, you know, I don't know. But I mean, either way,
we don't know. We're that good.
I can't remember what we did last time now, but anyways, regardless, it's a podium whether you get it removed or not. So I mean, talk us through the race, because I know you binned it at one point. And it must have felt like race was over, and then suddenly here you are, you find yourself on the podium. So I mean, 0 to hero. How did it go for you?
It was awful. It was possibly one of the worst races of my life. But I started the race and I was like, I feel all right, and then I binned it, and then I was coming into the pits, and the old pit entry drive-through penalty thing hit me.
Yeah.
So I was in discussion with Jamal and Tia, and I was like, God, can I come into the pits on the safety car restart? I'm not sure. They both said no, leave it a lap. I was like, no, I'm coming in. I'm definitely the track's green. I'm coming in. Anyway, they serviced my car, so yeah, it was a bit of an embarrassing moment.
No, I did it.
Unwanted pit stop, and then I had to do the drive-through penalty, and then and then Ace has helped me out with the safety car, which I didn't obviously ask him to do, but and then they're just trying to keep it consistent. But I mean, them last few laps was just it was awful, like driving on ice. But I remember looking at the top right hand corner of my screen, and there's 10 laps to go, and I was thinking, oh, there's no way I'm holding this car together for 10 laps in the dry, never mind the wet. But no, I managed to do it with a bit of pressure from behind, but that penalty should be removed.
I didn't even catch you didn't get to serve the drive-through. I just didn't even notice there was so much else going on.
The problem I had is that on the last when I came out for that last out the box, the last safety car, I had no other wet tyres to run. So if I damaged my wing, if there were another safety car, then I would have been knackered. So all my wet tyres were knackered. So.
Well, I suppose the other thing I wanted to ask, now we've got a chance to talk to you, the calendar. Any races that stand out to you for the rest of this season that you're looking forward to, or any that you're dreading?
I'll be honest with you, Ghost. I looked at that calendar when you announced it prior to round one, and I nearly vomited. It was just, it's just horrendous. But I've had a bit of time off. I've had a few weeks off work, so I've put a bit of practice in, and I felt like that with Canada. I felt like that with Australia. It was one of my worst tracks ever, but I had okay pace there. So it's a bit of practice. I'll be alright. It's just another track, isn't it?
That's it. Well, DNF podium. It's not been the most conventional start to a season, but does this make up for the first two?
Yeah, I think it does as well. I was a bit of squeaky bum time when I went in sumo as well, so that was I had to stay out of his way. And then LB come along.
Well, congrats, mate, on the podium, and hope we see you again here another point this season.
Cheers, mate.
Well, that's it for today. I mean, I don't think there's much else to say, really. I mean, who can summarize what we just saw, what just unfolded? But regardless, congratulations to all the drivers who finished to start with, but especially to those who ended up on the podium. Special mentions, I think, go to Rafferrari and Lucas Rowe, because they got completely screwed by that second safety car. But regardless, well done to everyone, and thank you all ever so much for watching. We'll see you next week for the US Grand Prix in Texas, in Tier 2. Sorry, Scott. Sorry, Jacko. But until then, have a great rest of your week, and goodbye.